you're not going to be your best if you're not being yourself. Because if you're being somebody else, you're not confident. So you're not really, and if you're trying to do what you think the people want, you're not really confident in that. And people can depict and break that down, and then you're broke down.
Right.
All I want, all I need, 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 all I need, all I need. All I need is from struggle to bubble. More money, more trouble. Run on the double and stay humble. Life's like living a jungle. Gotta be ready to rumble. Even mentally stumble. Test cause you to tumble. Hold your head up, don't mumble. Race like a runner so we can stumble.
What's up? This your boy, the NOC, aka DJ Maserati Knock, aka the Overnight King. Got a lot of, you know what I'm saying, aliases. But the one alias that is important tonight is my girl Phiyah. What's up, mama?
Peace.
Yes, she in the building right here.
Peace, everybody.
You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk about a lot today. What I want to talk about is your music, your style, your motivation, your start in the game, your transition from where you started to where you're at right now, and what we can expect from you. Is that cool?
Cool.
All right, well, let's dig in, all right? So, tell us some more about yourself, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've known you for years, you know what I'm saying? It seems like,
teaming,
yeah, like working at the Wiz, you know what I'm saying, on the street team, volunteering time and everything like that, you know, and then getting put on there and working and whatnot, but you've always been about your music, you know what I'm saying? So let's talk about your music. Why did you first decide to do music?
It started in the city high school.
Mm-hmm.
It was it was like the whole talent show, bomb show era. Yeah. And I was going to Fairfield at the time, and I had some friends that were going to Forest Park. We formed a group that was unique because we rap and dance. So we were in hip hop. We were like a hip hop dance group, which we called Mass Confusion. Okay. Confusion with a K, because we were more than just artists, MCs. We also danced. We were live. We were great. But that was my first break in. Loving music, hip hop. I grew to like the Yo MTV raps. Okay, I'm dated. And I'm telling on myself.
She telling on me too, because I remember Yo MTV.
But like Yo MTV raps and all that. Being from Fairfield at the time, coming out there in the suburban area. I wasn't, like radio at the time, all that, you didn't even have Wiz, I think it was WBLZ or something like that at the time. So music, my only way to get to hip hop was through video at that time. Or if you knew an underground group or crew. But I was just inspired, the strength and all that, being a minority in a place like Fairfield at the time years ago. You know, I found culture through video, and I was like, I want to do that. I'm reciting, other people's lyrics, and I was like, oh, this is the expression, just being able to, no matter what you felt, being able to express that and release. That was a good thing, and that's how I got into writing the music. We formed a group, Like Minds, and started there doing talent shows and stuff like that. We branched off, of course, because I'm going from out of high school into adult. Still into music, loving music.
Let's talk about
started interning.
Let's talk about that first rhyme that you wrote. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
Let's talk about that, because like you in high school, you know what I'm saying? You networking and politicking with other people. Like, what was that like? You know what I'm saying?
Music then, now has always been a love first. I didn't have expectations. I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna be, the next thing, of course you would like it, but it was just, I was a very shy, quiet person. It was a way to express and release, and I just wanted to be a part of it.
What you talk about in that first round?
Myself.
Like, we want to know. Like, if we got to Google it and go back. You know what I'm saying? What you talking about in that first round?
Let me see if I can remember it. It was like Phiyah Up Next, Never Flex a Contest, the capital MAS Confusion, no, you can't be the best, I'm flawless, I make a sucker wish they never saw this, after seeing Kumi on the court, you know you cannot ball this, I'm killing the rappers coming like contenders, in your court, I'm the judge, get your lawyer to defend you, restless, I'll put you through a funky test, nevertheless, you never smoke cess, let the best be the best, I'm coming and taking and shaking the suckers like a batch of cookies, MCs fall on the court and they're playing it like rookies. That sounded pleasant. Let's rewind it. No, let's test it. I think I better chill because there's some suckers trying to flex this. I'm flawless. So yeah, it was my style.
That's fire.
I can't believe I just remembered all
That's fire though.
I did. That's amazing. But yeah.
That's dope. Like,
yeah.
Especially you saw that she used the word "cess." You know what I'm saying? That's how you know it's throwback, right? Like, cause now it's like, yo, you know what I'm saying?
And then the flip of the tongue back
like,
then, that was real.
Yeah, that's dope, man. So like with your first experiences, like writing your lyrics and everything, had the group and whatnot. When did you decide that, like, you know what, this is what I like, this is what I'm gonna pursue?
I started interning with the Wiz.
Mm-hmm.
I was networking so much and around so many people, and I always had the bass and the love for music, and so I knew, you know, I wanted to be involved, and I was around so many people. Like Cincinnati, I've met so many talented people.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because everybody wants to be that one,
Right.
but I always thought, like, no, we can all get together. And we, you know, it's power in numbers.
Yeah.
I knew that. So I always, like, it was so many different talents. And, you know, my personality, I'm so cool with so many different people. Like, even though it's a competitive field,
Mm-hmm.
I never really thought, like, competitive as far as joining. And I saw so many jewels in the city that I was just like, hey, let's all just, it's not really realistic in the form of how we train by thought and this profession, but it's a cutthroat. I mean, you see it in the industry.
Yeah,
you see
definitely.
and unfortunately in our city, we, you know, that's how we became. It's not like a group thing. It can't be multiples. It always has to be one. It's one shot, one person, one time. So I knew I wanted to be involved in music. I was always involved and around people talented and had something to do with music. So it was always something underlying a passion of mine, a love of mine. When I was interning the Wiz, I wasn't really, because I was around the right people, Terry Thomas at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I believe.
Shout out to Terry. Like, she gave me my first job.
Yeah, Terry, she was as high up as she was. She looked, I mean, she told me, like, when you let me know, I'll support you, I'll help you. And she did. Mm-hmm. I remember an interview before with Big Greg. I remember just being, she definitely kept me in tune and always said she'd keep me, you know, under her arm, like under her wing. If you needed something and you do go forward with this, because she saw something in me, just even the look, and then I had the talent. And then looking at me, you just don't expect, you know, once I perform or you hear me to come out the way it does. But
energy,
you think I'm going to be like Mary J. I got that all the time. Like, you sing? No, I rap. You know? But she saw something, and I was building around people that could take me to the next plateau, but not really just building.
Right.
Then I got involved. I was around different people doing different things, but I was trying to find my niche, like what my style, who was best fitted for my style and all of that. I'm trying to find my place in hip hop and music.
So let's talk about your first project.
Flawless, that was my first rhyme I carried with me. And at the time I had a production by Busy Biz.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I did my first single, and it was Flawless with him. I kind of ran, you know, a little bit with it, but it was just always finding somebody and supportive in the background, like management, you know, things like that I couldn't do. I had the talent, the artistry, but just the back end was difficult. The DJ Biz trying to do his thing, but also just trying to take on the wing. Really didn't know a whole lot, just had talent. I took that just to say, hey, I have something. I am something. I have something here. See what I can build off of that with different people, looking for producers, stuff like that. Unfortunately, being a female in the industry, you get a lot of fake love. People with ulterior motives. I'm not really getting to the money yet, but it's underhanded schemes. People trying to sleep with you rather than help you. And different little things like that. So I had to go through dealing with seeing who was real, weaning them out. I met a guy named Rock with Ra Entertainment. He actually had based out of Atlanta, but came to the city because, like I knew and had just spoke of, it was a lot of talent in the city. And he was fascinated with the talent in the city. He was managing a group at the time called the Watusi Tribe.
Oh, yeah.
And I started doing open mics, fascinated with their energy and their performance, but really just trying to find a place. I was toying with the idea of signing with Garnett Entertainment, just talking to different producers within the city, and loved the energy of the Watusi Tribe, what they were doing, the movement, the power and empowerment, the supporting of female artists, their support for me, and we just started doing open mics, and I ended up joining their team.
So how would you describe like some of your earlier projects in your music?
An introduction.
An introduction? You were still trying to get in tune with yourself? So you was just, I don't want to say that you were just doing it, but you were,
That's a fair.
Experimenting.
Yeah, that's fair. Just doing it. It's fair. Super, yeah.
So like some of your earlier work compared to the one you just released, right? What was that transition like, artistically?
I'm a Virgo, so I'm very particular perfectionist. I have a lot of songs I sit on, and I'm like, oh, I hear it. I'm like my worst critic. I'm on myself so hard. It's like, if I mess up, you don't really have to tell me. I'm already kicking myself. You wouldn't really have to kick me because I'm already kicking myself with it. So it's just like, and always like trying to please and step above. So for me, with my first project, I was hard, like just critical with the pen, just real, instead of just being free in the music, I would always overthink and all that, versus now it's just, it's a feeling and it just released, because I was able also to see what was working. Like out here, it wasn't certain things that were getting by and working in the industry. It really didn't take a lot of thought, as I was putting on myself. Like I was putting a lot of pressure and trying to make something perfect for the people, instead of thinking like, okay, the people might need you or need this, but I'm pulling myself back, restricting myself, trying to find the right sound, the right thing. But I had people always like, when your project coming out, what you doing, and what, to the point I started falling off the scene, because I'm like, I don't know, I just wanted, you want it to be right.
Right. So like, do you feel like as an artist you got more exposure independent on your own versus in the group?
I think the group, I always saw myself with, it's weird, but I envision like the Fugees type, or just like how the world is like a woman solid, but around, you need your brothers around, like your brothers need a sis around, like a queen, like just and it's something powerful to me to stand with a crew and also represent, to me, and I feel like teams are necessary because in the team everybody has, and you bring it because they bring something and bring people that might not know, and it can open up, you know, a doorway for me and seeing me. So we all really, everybody in the crew had individual things, but we were still like a group.
And then with the group, you know what I'm saying, that kind of adds to a little competition. It's like, oh, okay, well, you know what? Phiyah just laid down this verse on this song that I'm like, you know what, let me step up my bars a little bit, you know what I'm saying? It's like a tug of war type thing, you know what I'm saying, to motivate each other and everything.
That's it, key. Like for me, if I'm not, I have to be inspired. And if it inspires me, even with tracks, like it could be hot, but it has to, when I write, I have to feel it, like I automatically hear it and I see it, I visualize it, I hear it. And it's like I can already, in that song, I can already see like me performing it, me, and, you know, from the video to the everything. Right. It's just, I have to have the visual with the feeling and everything. From the production, it has to be inspiring.
Yo, you ever get a track for someone like, yo, I want you on this track and everything, you listen to and it's like, that's not me.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Like you listen to you like, I can't do nothing with that.
Yeah. And it might be nice. It just wasn't me.
Really?
Yeah. I definitely have.
How you respond to that?
So earlier I used to try. Sometimes I would just do, but I learned that I didn't want to kill my art. Trying to force something that just didn't, and then somebody, because it's not my best pen, because I'm not inspired, it might represent me wrong.
Gotcha.
So sometimes I had to learn, like, okay, but I'm a people pleaser to an extent, so I'm trying to
put out the best product with what you got to work with. You know what I'm saying, in terms of music.
And I always just wanted to do me. Unfortunately, being a woman, it's not that many women out here. You know, everybody has an opinion on what they feel like your style should be, what your sound should be. And with styles and sound, I just felt like you never know, because when I was at the Wiz, I remember, I want to say, it wasn't Deja Vu, I want to say maybe Crazy in Love. I remember us all being, and it was like, this Beyonce new song. Right. What you think about it? And I was like, it's alright. Oh, crazy. Was that Crazy in Love? And I was like, you know, it's alright. But then once you just keep hearing it, it's just like, it just
grows on you.
Yes.
I think with like a lot of mainstream music, sometimes it has to grow on you. But truthfully, I feel like that's the same with any artist. Like if you hear it the first time, it's like, okay, I hear it, but I ain't feeling it or whatever. But then once you continuously hear it, you kind of fall into that sunken place. You know what I'm saying? Like you get consumed by the music or whatnot. But it's sometimes like you hear a song from an artist and you hear it's like, yo, that's dope right off rip and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? So like, with that being said, when or what song did you feel like really captured like your emotion and your place in time?
Off of my first project.
Yeah,
probably
anything before this last project, but
the Ohio Player. Off my first, that was my first project, and it was a song called All Mine. And it's all my life, this is what I've been waiting for. And the first verse was in relation to me and the music. And then the second verse was in relation to me and my love and who I ended up marrying. So it was all my life, this is what I've been waiting for. And that from my first project, that was probably, that pushed me. And then on my second project, which is The Heat, Remedy, which is on it's Remedy. That I pushed that because I felt that was a representation for me, being a remedy. being a female artist and looking a certain way, and having that Kim syndrome, I want to call it the little Kim syndrome, where how Big looked at her and said, you should be like this, and she conformed herself to be like that. But I was like, I'm gonna be me, and I have a look, and I ended up making a song called Don't Put Me in a Box, which was like, know my body hot, but this is hip hop, because although I look a certain way, I represent something, and I want to represent strength. Right. And nothing's wrong with, because men and people are simple. In a sense, when it comes to women and looking, and sometimes you just caught up in a facade rather than what it really is. And the remedy was like, I'm the remedy. I'm something. I can look like this, but it's power behind my words. Right. It's power in my presence beyond what you see. So for me, that was the remedy. That's when I really started going really hard into music, and that was off the Heat project, which was produced by Vibe One. Okay. And that was a big thing for me. And then I ended up being in a group called the Troop Camp, Camp with a K, and it was me, Vibe One, Varkees, and Fote, and we did a project together, and we had a lot of dope music that we really kind of set on even to this day, but it was thought-provoking music, right? And saying something with meaning and trying to reach you and let you know there's a bigger picture, and having power with your words, and letting that portray through to the people. Okay. That was important.
So you mentioned, being a female artist in the game, having to deal with fake love, alternative motives and everything like that. Like, who did you look up to, or like, I don't want to say mimic, but did you fashion
inspired,
like your business savvy, from another female artist that helped you to make it through that, to navigate through the bullshit, as a female artist?
There are female artists that inspire me, definitely. Lauren, of course. Missy is a big inspiration for me because dance as well, and she wasn't just in a box. She wasn't just a rapper. You just couldn't, and that's what I didn't really like, just being saying, oh, she a rapper. Like, I just wanted an artist, an entertainer, an MC. But with the, I have sound, I do my hooks or melodies, co-production, I arranging my music, things like that. So I'm like, hey, I want this sound like this. I'm real, my sister is a Virgo, real picky, it's like, hey, I gotta have it like this, and then that. And me and Vibe are married, but bump heads, because I'm like, hey, it's hard, and I'm real controlling to an extent, not to an extent I am. Right. Accountability for myself. But
that gotta be interesting, working with your husband when it comes to music, and you guys both do music. What's that like? You know what I'm saying? Man, you ain't had to call the police and all, right?
Oh, no. Good energy. He's a Virgo as well. So.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
Real weak apart. He is so knowledgeable and has been in the music so long that it's like I definitely knew I could trust to listen to his advice and know. The only thing about me that's funny, when I'm so picky on myself, it's like when it comes to me and it's just, I can listen to you, but certain things it's just like, I'm like, no, I don't like this. No, everybody's like, no, it sounds good. I feel like it could be better. I'm just real.
Bit of a perfectionist.
Too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, very much so. So I think with that, but he knows so much in the music. He studied. I watched him study.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I knew that I could trust, you know, certain things he was saying, or most of what he was saying and everything. I'm definitely competitive, even, you know, within the household, within the crew, with, you know, it's definitely, he probably would want to pull out his hair with me a lot at times. So it's just like, you know, just listen. And it's hard to balance out when you're in a relationship and
Right.
in the business or in the music. So that would be hard as well, because it's like, okay, yeah, well, you know, don't say it like that. You know, and certain just little thing, picky things, but
But
I
y'all
feel
make
like
it happen though, right? Y'all make it work.
oh yes, definitely.
What advice would you give to another female artist in that same situation? You know what I'm saying? It's like the business and the relationship at the same time.
Depending on how long, if you know and if you've established like a friendship first and all that, just know your partner, know your boundaries, and always respect. Always. It's key.
Cool. All right, so let's get into the project that you just released. You know what I'm saying? How you feel about that, man?
I'm excited. I'm real excited because I went on a hiatus like for a while. I mean, I would go around shows,
Right.
vibing and still doing shows, and Watu would be like, "Fire, when you coming out with? When you coming out with?" And I just feel like, well, I got caught up in bar life, you know, being a bartender, then, you know, elevating to a bar manager, and now, you know, a bar owner. But I was just focused because honestly, with music, you have to have the time, you have to have the money, and then I'm in a relationship where we're both doing music, and then also, so somebody, like, it just had to balance out, and I had to, it was like, okay, it's going so far, and I'm going hard. Like, most people, artists, especially from the city, you go hard. I see a lot of artists do it, and it's just like, you have to stay, oh my goodness, so Dre, you have to stay focused, you have to be motivated. And a piece of me lost that, like, well, let me go and get to this money.
Right.
Get to this money, and he was always at it. I mean, he would get to the money and get to the music. But he eat, sleep, everything music. Right. So I'm like, okay, you do this, I'm gonna focus on building my career and getting myself together, which also to me it correlates because I can be in a bar, which is, you know, around DJs and around that, and I would make it balance out. I just ended up taking a longer break from it than
How long was that break?
Oh my goodness. Like probably a good, I mean, I had a project, but we didn't really push the True Camp. I had an in-between project where I was in the studio and dropping. I've always been dropping music and stuff like that behind the scenes, but
that break was how long?
6
months, years. I feel you.
Like where I really went at it, probably the same time. Like it was another female artist, Khadijah from the city. Me and her, like she's real competitive, and she didn't mess with many, but she messed with me, and we rocked. And we were different styles because she was more on the edge, you know. I'm sure you know Khadijah, everybody knows. Shouts out to Khadijah, who's on a hiatus.
Hiatus come around and it's cool. You know what I'm saying?
Goodness, come around. But I was still in the music, but the people weren't like seeing me. I still was coming in, like I think it was like venues like Top Cast was doing something. It was venue different. What was that in Elmwood? I can't think of it.
The little bar or whatever. You know what I'm saying? They had the stage and everything like that.
Yeah, they had their little run. So I was still, because Vibe was still having, I would pop in. You know, I was guest appearance and things. But as far as Phiyah, period, me and doing my stuff, it was probably 4 years easy. 4 years easy.
So what motivated you to get back?
First, the track was inspiring. My first single, which is Hot Girls, I actually did 2 years ago. And it's funny because a lot of, even with the bars and a lot of stuff, it's relevant to right now, but it was 2 years ago. So, and even certain things in music, because somebody asked, like, when'd you drop that song? Like, even then, I had said something about Stonies, and that's my bar now. So certain things that look like I did it, I really had already had it done. I have so much, like, music, because my husband was a producer, one of my best friends, which is his best friend, which is a close friend of ours, Mo, who's down in Atlanta, but, you know, he's also a part of the Watusi tribe, and he's down in Georgia. He was sending me, that's who I first, out of the Watusi tribe, did projects with, and then I did my project with Vibe. But I just was still ghost doing things, but the people, you know, where you at? And I'm seeing, and honestly, when you hear certain music and you're in the bars and you're a certain artist and you're in a city where you feel like they're not really gonna feel what you on because they're gravitating more toward a certain type of sound
or vibe, or you know what I'm saying, delivery, whatever.
So that was but being able to vent on a track, release on it, I just was inspired, and I just started driving, and it just all fell into place. It just fell into place.
Like, comparing your latest work of music to your earlier work, what can we expect in terms of that transition?
Being open, expressing more of me in more of a raw form, be it relationships or whatever, and having fun with the music as well. Not being so critical, but just having fun with it. That was real important. So it was real important to have fun with the music and everything.
So let's talk about fun then. Like, what was like the most memorable show that you did? Like all-time favorite, vibe, response, you know what I'm saying, participation. What show was that like? And where was it at?
My most memorable? Well, I have two.
Okay, two.
I have to say two because I actually went to Showtime at Apollo.
Okay.
And that was memorable because I couldn't even get out my first bar before I was booed.
Whoa, they booed
It was
you?
like, oh my goodness. Okay, so we did the Apollo down here. The thing with that talent shows and things like that, it's more of a social based thing. Like, if somebody else is in a talent show, and I've learned that with talent shows, period.
Yeah.
If it's a competitive talent show, whoever brings their crew, they're gonna get you out of there because they want their crew to win. So it's just like, it's not really a fair display of talent. So, and that's another thing that brought me away from the music too, because it's just, it's not, it's all gimmick. Promoters, it's about making money instead of showcasing, instead of being both and feeling like that.
But there were a lot of spots in the city that, cut all of that bullshit out and really just focused on, you know what I'm saying, the artists, and just giving them an opportunity to work their craft, perfect their craft, perform their music and everything like that. Like the spots at Mad Frog, Bababu Dance, you know what I'm saying, Scandal provided a lot of that, you know what I'm saying?
Scandal. Now Scandal is, I was about to ask you like, well, who, what? But Scandal, yes.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, true indeed.
And Scandal is one of those names, you know what I'm saying, R.I.P. But I knew him, and then other artists will tell you, like, if it's one of the few people that really had an invested, you know what I'm saying, interest in the artist, it was him. So
very true.
I think that, with music, not just being from the earlier times or whatever, my generation or the next generation in between, one of those messages that's always going to be consistent is talent, support, and what your message is. You know what I'm saying? Some people will say like it's marketing, branding yourself, and everything like that as an artist to make it out of Cincinnati. Some people will tell you that some artists are cool being here and staying here in Cincinnati, and some people tell you like, listen, I just want people to hear my music and hear my message and understand where I'm coming from. You follow me? Mm-hmm. So my question to you would be like, where you're at right now in terms of like your music, what is that transition? What is that difference between where you started and where you're at right now in terms of projects?
Where I started and where I'm at, I've acquired a lot more knowledge in the business, mm-hmm. how to market, because I brand and marketed in the bar and mm-hmm. learn how to push and market bars. So for me, it was like I could apply all of this in my music because I did that and built branded businesses. Like, and I was like, why I ain't do it like that? You know, the same way I was going around networking, building, getting people to come out, and was actually getting full, you know, support. I would move a bar, they would move with me.
Right.
And it was just like, for me now, it's like, man, you could do, you know, but again, when I started the shyness, the quiet, but in music, it pulled me out, you know. That's why I think I also shielded myself around a crew. Right. Because it was just like, okay, I'm not standing alone.
Right. It was more comfortable for you.
Yes.
And with that comfort comes confidence
mm-hmm.
in bars. Because we know you got them. You know what I'm saying? So, like, where you at right now? Like, what's a message that we can expect to hear from your music with the maturity and the growth?
Good music. Mm-hmm. I think for me now, I look at it and I look at different genres, and I look at hip hop is really impactful for as a culture. Mm-hmm. You go on TV, you see it, like, as much as they talk about rap, but you in a McDonald's, a Burger King, all that stuff, you see it. Like, they market hip hop in their market, you know, and it was just like, but we have so many, we restrict ourselves, we hard on ourselves. And I look at different art, like I look at rock, I look at country, I look at how it's older, like they don't have a cap on age. Yeah. They don't have a cap on. Yeah, it's just like but cause somebody told me like, you doing a project and like, how old are you again? And I'm thinking like, okay, well, if I'm 40, I don't want to listen to. I don't relate to Chief Keef or not. No disrespect, but
it's here today.
I'm not. You know.
No, I know.
You know, I'm just saying, like, I know. You know how artists, when they on their waves, and it's just like, you know, even with like the Lil Uzis and all that, like, you can do your thing, I can do my thing, like, we don't have to, and for me, it was like, if I'm older, and we listen to the music and their messages in music, what am I saying that I can't listen to somebody my age? Unless they're already been established, like, okay, so I'm not gonna like it because they're not younger.
But see, that's the catch-22 in the bullshit I feel with hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, me growing up, my father was a musician, so, you know, I got hip to a lot of old school music, your Bootsy Collins, you know what I'm saying, Ohio Players, whoever, you know what I'm saying, your Stevie Wonders and whatnot. Hell, my mom is from Chicago, so she loves Shaka Khan. Shaka Khan's still doing shows, you know what I'm saying? She was still doing shows and everything like that, and still making money and everything, but like when it comes to hip hop, it does have that stigma that like, oh, once you're past a certain age, then you're no longer marketable. And I feel like that's,
why not?
I feel like that's bullshit.
Yeah,
you know
like, why not?
Like Jay-Z, he just dropped the 40/40 joint or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's bullshit in terms of artists, in terms of rap and hip hop. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, that's a stigma that we allow people to place on there. We allow them to put that cap on it, like, oh, well, you can't do music or shows that's relevant anymore. And I feel like that's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? If anything, this is the time, you know what I'm saying, after they've gone through the corporate bullshit, you know what I'm saying, and the waves and the trends that was popping when they first started, and they're more secure with themselves and their music and their message. That's the perfect time for those artists to really, you know what I'm saying, extend their longevity. You know what I'm saying?
It's almost like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm saying, go ahead.
It's almost like having a baby, right? You do it younger, you gotta go through the bumps and bruises and all that stuff, and you're acquiring the knowledge of parenting. So you parenting a project, but when you're older and you seasoned, you've been around, you see more, you can approach it differently. And the thing with age is, well, I like to think that I don't look even my age. But the thing with age is that you can still do, as long as you are physically, like you can entertain. You should be able to entertain. I know more now, like, than I did then.
Yeah.
And I can handle, you know, walking in a room differently and being able to talk and know what's going on differently. Just like you started out when you're doing it in parenting, but if you're a parent later on or you have a child again, you already know how to do this, and now it's easy rather than learning and getting them. Already know, or you sit back and you watch and observe, and later in life because you matured. Because it's hard to do it while you're maturing, trying to learn things and think you know it all. You're young, you don't really know, and you're trying to wean out good people, bad people, but you can tell once you get a read. I believe for me, when you're older is the best time, because when you're younger you can be manipulated. You know, you don't know really what's going on. Most of the people, even back then, who've been in the industry, it seems like they go through the bumps and bruises, the pains, the money, all that, and they're just now really getting to their money because now they know more and handle their business differently than even then, because they were allowed to be manipulated in situations and things like that.
So, like, how can we take that knowledge and apply it? Like, you know, it's new artists that's coming out, you know, in Cincinnati, in other cities around the world and whatnot, that are falling into the same, you know what I'm saying, merry-go-round or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? I always feel like, you know, vetted artists should be connecting to the younger artists.
That's what I was gonna say. In my mind, I was thinking like, it's kind of our responsibility as well, because when they come into the game, we're not picking their hand and saying, hey, come on, you know, well, let me show you how to do this, or let me, it's like they're knocking, you know, it's like, oh, nah, you don't know what you, instead of like, okay, I see how you doing it like this, but you should do, you know, not saying this, but let me tell you, let me guide you. It's people that have the power that can help, you know, people, but they don't. It's like, it's crazy how the support
Why do you think
system
that is, though? Why do you think that is? Why we got so much resistance?
Control mind state. We've been, it's gone on so long, like even for veteran artists, they went through it. They think that's what you're supposed to go through, rather than learning and saying, no, you know, I went through this. I don't want you to go through this, so do it like this. Or let me take you on. It really goes beyond music, and then as a culture, and you know, for us, it's different because we've always, like, it's a slave mentality when it resonates in our culture and music and how we move, period. Like, we have so much to get together just in general, that we hold ourselves back, and we're so competitive when we really I feel like in music everywhere else, they just do them. You're not seeing any of the older to that's still making music or any of them. Like when you look down, if I go on my phone on my touch tunes or all of that, you see these artists and you see how dated they are in other genres, and they're not sitting here on their songs talking about the next artist. They're not on here when they're getting on shows, not worried about what the next. They're just doing them and comfortable. We're not comfortable within ourselves, so we just looking out. You know, the thing that's good about hip hop, the release and all that, is you can express, and if you are feeling, you can vent and release, and then you're okay. Hopefully, some people, hopefully, then you're okay. But and it's cool if it's for fun, but it's not. It becomes really a state of mind. Like you're going to hip hop shows, and I went to a rap battle. You can't even go to rap battles without it actually being a fight. Like I've gone to and this is here recently, I've gone to a couple rap battles. I go in early and come out just because I have a new project, so I know how to move. I'm seeing what's going on. Right. And that, like when you go to stuff like that, that pulls you back too. So you have to really be strong in your own mind state on your own project. Like forget what all they're doing, what they think, and just do you the best you can.
Right. So let me ask you this: like, what is the difference that you see with the rap battles now versus rap battles years ago?
Rap battles years ago, it wasn't really. It was a friendly battle to me. Not friendly because it was, but you weren't worried about, you know, actually physical harm, like just the threat of it's music. And if you are live, what do we have to fight about? Like what is there to let it push through, like your music. If you're strong and let it speak through the music, let the people feel you through the music. And if they don't feel you, they just don't feel you. Right. You're not gonna get everybody. Just take the ones that want to go with you. There's no one that everybody likes, and you cannot just be like, I want you just can't. You have to be realistic in your artistry and your talent, and it's like, I want to do what's best for you. And usually the most natural thing, like the song, you ever notice how like it's a song that somebody really didn't even, it's like I just did it, I didn't think this would be the song, but it ends up being a song because people can relate to it. When you are your most natural self, like some people can really gravitate and relate to that. That's why the artists that make it the furthest aren't just in one box, like doing one type of thing. Like I have so many people that just be like, you should be on the trap end, but it's like that's only one little small little, like. And if you think of music, and if you really want to be broad in your music, the people who go the furthest have a broad. They're not in a box. Right. They're just they're doing them the way they are unique,
and they're creative
and creative. It's not, I'm not trying to, because I've learned even in the very thing that you use to try to push you through in music and help you elevate is the very thing that can pull you back. Right. Because you're going and you're seeing these open mics where everybody sounds the same, but they're rooting for this soul sound the same, and then you want me to sound like them. Right. But I'm me. Right. So it's just.
Well, I mean, one thing about music is like, you know, you can't control the direction it goes. You know, only thing you can control is, you know, what wave you decide to ride. You know what I'm saying? That's my surfer term. You know what I'm saying? And everything like that. But like you said, staying true to yourself and your craft and your music. You know what I'm saying? So let me ask you, like, what advice would you give to like younger artists in Cincinnati and wherever they're at? You know what I'm saying? To further their career or just, you know, do that.
Do you. Do you. And if you have strong, solid people, keep them with you. Never shit on your people. ever. Like if they support you and they start with you, and they're, especially if they're good people, because some people get caught up in a light and think, oh, I'm gonna get, you know, and they don't stick with, and that's really where you fall off, because you got into the trap. You stick with your people and you never shit on your people ever, and you just stay focused on the best you. You make your music, make it to where it fits for you, because if you're forcing something that's not you, it's not realistic to you. It's not, the people can tell, because you know how you can just tell, like, oh yeah, nah, they're already gonna be critical of who you are. They're already looking, they're already, but if you're not gonna be your best if you're not being yourself, because you're not, if you're being somebody else, you're not confident, so you're not really, and if you're trying to do what you think the people want, you're not really confident in that, and people can depict and break that down, and then you're broke down. Right. But if you keep solid people with you that support you, they'll keep you grounded, and you always have to stay grounded and be humble and get it. And whatever you want to do for anybody, period, you can do it. You just have to set it in the mind, set it in the play, stay focused. You can do it. The problem is we don't stay focused. Nothing happens overnight. Just stay focused.
What's up? Well, I appreciate you taking time out to politic with me. It's been so long, but I love you, Ma. You know what I'm saying? You got the spot here. You know what I'm saying? You got the bar. Let everybody know. Stoney's Pub. What? 5400 Carthage Avenue, 45212. Google Maps. Google. Phiyah, Phiyah.
Come
through, get a drink, get your butt whooped on some pool if I'm here, because I'm a beast. I'm gonna let that be known right now. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah. And start a pool. Name of the project that just dropped.
Phiyah. Mo Phiyah.
Mo Phiyah. So make sure y'all cop that and check it out. Social media handle, all that. Same thing.
IG, Facebook, catch me.
Yes. For the NOC, aka DJ Maserati Knock, real spit. Appreciate it.
Stun like a Hummer, live winter like summer. Stay on beat like the drummer. Stay smart, never dumber. Stand over, not under. Something hard like the thunder. The world make you wonder. How we keep from going under. Get political plumbers. I'm called political blunders. I'm talking critical numbers. This here is a summon. All I want. All I need. 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 All I need. All I need. Sure as my granny name was Mildred and her husband name was Ralph. All I need is for you lames to keep my name up out your mouth. Plus you saying Millie Mill got that battlefield ammo. She don't borrow nobody, that's a living, breathing mammal. Been treated like a fact, not no myth to propagate. Covert like Watergate, I spurt like water break and spill all over tracks. No need to wipe me down, I'm hot but I'm relaxed, so
Some people, you just gotta tell them, like, this ain't it, man. Yeah. Some people would have took that money and stood there. I had an 8-hour session with him. We was 3 hours in. I gave him every dollar back. Like, it wasn't even like I'm taking 3 hours a month. No, I'm giving you this. So this is a gift from me to you. This is not it for you.
Wonder why I'm getting all this shit.